course, one of the biggest stories in the budget was housing affordability and what the government can do to help not only home buyers but renters as well. We're joined now by the Minister responsible for that area in the portfolio, the Assistant Minister, Michael Sukkar. Good morning.
Oh, hi, Sam. Good to be with you.
And new dad, congratulations on the birth on Monday of baby Leo, although I suspect that your wife Anna was doing most of the heavy lifting. Congratulations. He's a beautiful baby boy.
Well, thank you, Sam. Yes, it was a bit of an unexpected arrival, and I mean, the best laid plans can come unstuck. So baby Leo thought he would rearrange my budget week and rearrange our whole lives. So yes, Anna has taken the reins and she's doing a brilliant job as a mother, and I sort of feel like I'm just getting in the way half the time, but I'm trying to do everything I can, and I'm disappointed obviously not to be in Canberra for budget week, but I thought Leo and Anna needed to be a bit more than the Treasurer did, so it's a really exciting week and it's all happening in one time.
Well, you've made absolutely the right choice in terms of where you are right now. But let's talk about this superannuation scheme. There was a lot of people who told us that this wasn't going to happen, that you wouldn't go anywhere near superannuation, that this was a terrible idea. The government's running around denying it, but you seem to have gotten something through that looks pretty similar. This will obviously involve people putting money into their superannuation as voluntary contributions, and they'll be able to take that out. Take us through how it'll work.
So, Sam, basically, I mean, the thinking behind this has been how do we accelerate the saving rate for first home buyers? We wanted to provide a generous tax incentive to do so, and we're using superannuation, I suppose, as a vehicle by which to do that, because we all have superannuation accounts. So, in effect, people looking to buy their first home can salary sacrifice into their superannuation account, a voluntary contribution above and beyond their 9.5% that they're mandatorily required to contribute. We will provide a tax discount of 30%, so your marginal rate minus 30%, which just means the savings you put in there in a pre-tax amount are very advantageously taxed. And in effect, you'll be able to contribute $15,000 per annum up to $30,000 in total, and that's per individual. So for a couple, that will mean that they'd each be able to avail themselves of the Super Saver scheme. And for a couple, if they were to avail themselves of that salary sacrifice arrangement, would be $12,000 better off, which is really accelerating their saving rate by about 30%. So, I mean, the feedback to me consistently has been getting the deposit together is the toughest part. Yes, servicing the debt is, of course, difficult in some respects, but getting the deposit together was the hardest bit, and we're providing very generous tax incentives to make sure people can do that. And using the simplicity of your superannuation account means you don't have to go out and set up a new account at your bank. Literally, you nominate for an amount to be salary sacrificed into that account. When you've reached the point at which you're ready to buy a house, those amounts will then be used to settle a property.
So what's your answer to people who say this will just increase the price of property? And how did you roll the budget raiser gang, the Finance Minister, Matthias Cormann, on making this happen?
Well, this is fundamentally different to other schemes that have had inflationary aspects in the market. I mean, the one that we use really is the First Home Buyers Grant. Why this is different is everybody has a different savings rate. So everybody will, in a sense, salary sacrifice different amounts depending, of course, on their own personal circumstances. So that means you're not getting a rush of people hitting the market. For example, with a First Home Buyers Grant, you know, if it applied from 1 July, everyone would hit the market, everyone would be eligible for that amount from day one. Under this scheme, in a sense, it is something that will be utilised over time. People have different saving rates, so it won't have that inflationary aspect in the market. And anyone that sort of tries to argue that this is inflationary is also saying we don't want people to get pay rises, we don't want economic growth, because at the end of the day, the government, this government, has taken a policy position to give tax incentives to first home buyers to allow them to accelerate
But
that
I mean,
rate.
a pay rise, just to jump in there, sorry, Michael, a pay rise is to the whole population. You know, you say it's not all starting on July 1, but the clock's ticking now. People can start doing this. You'd guess in 2 or 3 years' time, a large proportion do suddenly hit the market. So it might not be the same impact as a first home buyer's grant, but surely it can still have some similar once-at-a-time market-changing impact.
Well, no, because if you look at the whole housing package, and this is where I think, you know, overnight this housing package has got really, really solid support throughout the communities, because you don't look at one policy in isolation. Yes, we've got an accelerated savings scheme for first home buyers, but if you look at the other measures in the budget which are really looking to turbocharge supply into the market, it means I think we're going to have a package that, yes, accelerates the saving for first home buyers, but provides those greater opportunities by more stock in the market, which means you're not going to have those perverse consequences. Because you're right, if all you do is measures on the demand side but nothing on the supply side, you do have problems, and that's why this package, unlike Labor, this package seeks to address in a holistic way the problems in the housing market, and I don't think, in fact I know, it won't have that kind of inflationary aspect. And we are unashamedly saying that we are giving first home buyers a leg up, and we're absolutely committed to that, and we don't think that it will have a perverse impact on the market. We think it will just help first home buyers.
Michael Silko, congratulations to you and Anna on Leo. But on the question of inflation, it's acknowledged that the national government has a limited ability to influence the question of housing affordability. You've taken some steps here, but respected economists like Chris Richardson, for example, point out that it's really monetary policy that has the big impact, that for every 1% increase in official rates, you get a 7% in terms of relief as far as housing affordability is concerned. If that's the case, you'd be looking for a bit of a boost in inflation, wouldn't you, so that interest rates can be brought back to levels more normally associated with good times?
Well, you make a good point. Obviously, we have an independent Reserve Bank that sets interest rates independently at arm's length of government. But you're right. I mean, there are a whole lot of factors that affect the market. The federal government can't just wave a magic wand and fix all of the problems. I mean, what the Treasurer has spoken about in detail before the budget is macro-prudential measures. We tightened up very strongly on interest-only loans, for example. We tightened up some time ago on investor loans. Yes, those things do impact the market, but I suppose in consulting very widely with the community, in looking and thinking about this every single day since I was put into this role, you get down to one fundamental problem, and that is a lack of supply. Supply that cannot meet the demand in the market, and that's why with measures like our infrastructure facility, which will see a $1 billion infrastructure facility, will be utilising surplus Commonwealth land. You know, a 6,000 dwelling suburb will go up in Maribyrnong, and we obviously announced that last night. These are the measures that will mean, yes, we take pressure off the market, but you're right, Jim, there are a multitude of factors, some of which aren't in the control of the federal government.
All right, we'll see how those supply policies go, how these are more broadly received. But thank you for your time, Assistant Minister to the Treasurer, Michael